Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Mama Project podcast. So, this is the first time I am going to record myself on video also. I started uploading my episodes to YouTube a couple months ago, I think with Brianna Battle's podcast, just to have them on different platforms. So I decided to start video recording this as well. So if you're just listening to this on Apple or Spotify, then that's all fine and dandy. But you can also find these videos on my Mama Project podcast, on my YouTube channel, Mama Project YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I talk about quite a bit in my content and on my social media. I talk a lot about seasons of life and how, you're going through your different journeys of life, and we've all experienced life in different capacities, right? When you graduate 8th grade and you're going to high school, like high school is a new season of life, those 4 years, and then you graduate high school and maybe you go away to college or maybe you start working. And so then those 4 years are again like a new chapter, a new season. And then you graduate college and you start your job. So for many people, maybe they go to grad school and that's another season, or maybe they start their career, which is what I did. I really didn't want to go to any more schooling after college. I was kind of done. I really wanted to start experiencing the workforce and get into my career. I mean, I had no idea that starting a career in fitness was where I was going to be for the rest of my career, but it's definitely evolved over time. So if you've been tuning into my journey or not, you can go back to earlier episodes to see why this podcast exists and kind of how my career and personal life have evolved to where I am at today. But for the sake of context and for the sake of time, I don't want to go all the way back to the beginning of my career, which was 2010, but I wanted to go back to where it all kind of started pivotally changing for me, and that was around COVID. And I think COVID shutdowns for a lot of people changed their career trajectory and just really pushed them into doing something different. So for me, let's rewind. Let's go back to 2020, right at the beginning, January. And I was rehabbing my left ACL for the second time. And that in itself was revisiting a season of my life. So I tore my ACL for the first time in 2011, rehabbed in 2012, and my rehab was smooth sailing. I actually went ahead and did the Chicago Marathon that year in my best time. And so I thought for the second time around, this was gonna be a piece of cake. I'm gonna rehab so easy, just like I did the first time, and it's gonna be no problem. And that was not the case at all. And so I guess this just goes to show you that with anything, no two experiences are alike. And this definitely was a big slap to the face for me. Not only was I older, obviously I was 8 years older, but it was a different surgery because I had a different graft replacement, and it was a different recovery. I had a way bigger incision to rehab, and this was now the second time that my leg had been going through this trauma. So I had spent the better part of 7-8 years rebuilding my quad strength and everything like that, only to get it to about, maybe 90-95%, only to have the same injury happen again. So it was a huge punch to the gut. And around this time, me and a good client of mine who actually became a coach at Fit Project, her and I were teaming up to start a corporate wellness business. We had a really good opportunity with a mid-sized organization out west to develop a corporate wellness program. So it was I had so many things. I was trying to do this new business and rehabbing my ACL, and then guess what happened? And then COVID shutdowns happened March of 2020. So I had to shut down my gym, and I moved everything online to Zoom. So it's funny because my dad and I were going out to Arizona for spring training that year for the Cubs. I'd never been to spring training before. And literally in the airport on our way there, they show on TV that it's canceled. Spring training's canceled due to COVID. We were so upset and disappointed, and we get to Arizona and everything's still open there, restaurants and everything. And then on the TV it shows bars and restaurants are closing in Chicago, and I was like, in the back of my head I'm like, oh my god, gyms are next. So literally on the plane ride home I started planning out what I was gonna do when they shut gyms down, because I knew it was just a matter of time. So I wrote up, my dad's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm writing a plan so that I'm prepared. And I was prepared. I had everybody come in and grab weights, dumbbells, whatever, all of that. So, but this isn't really about that. This is just kind of, this is how my perspective and kind of my, I guess, career trajectory really evolved, during COVID. It was really a huge opportunity for me. It sucked. I'm not gonna lie. It sucked I shut down my gym for 3 months. And my business did not thrive during that time, but it really survived. The gym survived during that time. And we landed that new business, that corporate wellness client. So that was an opportunity. Meanwhile, I'm rehabbing my knee at home. And you never know why you're going through something when you're going through it. You ask so many questions why. And I think an important reason for me to do this episode is I see a lot of my friends, colleagues going through hard things on social media. I see a lot of people being honest about, hardships that they're facing, whether that's in relationships or whether that's going through traumatic life events like the loss of a loved one. And I really feel for those people. And I honestly it sucks when people are like, well, everything happens for a reason. You can never say that to someone who's going through a really hard time. But like the title of this episode, I truly believe every season serves a purpose in some way. And I'm not saying that it makes a loss any easier. Grieving is a process, but I do believe it takes time to figure out what purpose that served. I don't even, years, may take decades, I'm not sure. But anyways, I'm sorry, I went on off that tangent, but let me digress back. So, gym shut down, gave everybody equipment for home, I was rehabbing my ACL, and I was at kind of a good point in my recovery where I had range of motion back. I was really just working on strength and agility and explosiveness. And I found a PT out in California that specialized in ACL rehab online. And I was like, well, this is perfect because I'm stuck at home. And we really didn't know the severity of COVID. So because I was running my gym and I really wanted to stay healthy, Matt didn't really want me going into the PT clinic and potentially getting sick. So I was all for staying home and doing my rehab at home. I had everything I needed in my basement. So I started working with that PT. That was probably March or beginning of April 2020. And I worked with him for a while, the better part of probably 5 or 6 months, until I felt like I was clear, good to go on my own to kind of past all of his markers. And so my gym reopened in June of 2020. I stopped working with my PT in October. And it was such a great experience. We would meet monthly, over Zoom. He would give me exercises to do on my own to kind of build into my own programming. He would assess me every month. And then I had basically a test out from a PT that worked with my my surgeon to really clear me. And I don't think I got cleared right away. I think there was still some strength markers that I needed to do on my own. So I think October, I don't think I was really clear until December. I think I needed 3 months to really get stronger, and then I was clear. But meeting with my online PT over Zoom, I'll never forget this. This was, October 2020. And I said to him, I was like, this is so cool what you do what you do here. Like, I could totally do this with people. Like, I could totally meet with them on Zoom and like give them a program to follow. And like, I love that like you specialize and like you have like a niche. Like, I would love to have that. And he was like, well, what, he was like, he loved that my energy. He was like, well, what population would you want to work with? And I was like, honestly, like, I have always loved working with pregnant and postpartum clients at my gym. Like, they're the reason why I got certified in 2017, because I knew I was going to have women coming into my gym pregnant, or clients getting pregnant, coming back postpartum, and I just really wanted to know how to serve them during that season of their life. And so I was like, yeah, like I would really love to niche down just working with that population. But of course, I had huge imposter syndrome because I had never been pregnant myself or gone through postpartum myself. So I'm like, how could I, like, who am I to specialize in working with a population where I've never experienced what they've experienced? So I really just kind of left it at that. It was an idea and I spoke it, like 4 years ago, and now, like, look at it, like less than 4 years later, this is what I'm doing. But I say this because it's like I had that idea 4 years ago and it took this long to like come to fruition. It's like I knew what I wanted to do so long ago and like who I really wanted to work with. I just had no idea how to make it happen. So 2021 is when I really invested into some self-development. I hired a coach who really helped me with like my mindset and like my business, marketing, honestly, like my relationships, and just like my overall self, basically. Like, really made me start to like question things that I believed in. Just all of these different, it was basically just self-development. It was the first time I really invested in that type of coaching before. And so that led me into investing into coaching specifically for the gym to help me grow the gym and just refine different systems and processes and things like that. Because up until 2021, well, really up until COVID, I felt like I was working a lot in the business and it wasn't working so much on it. Like, I needed to kind of I needed to delegate, and I needed to like step back. I still wanted a coach, but like I knew I needed to take more of that business owner role, which is really what I did in 2021. And it really opened up my eyes to the online space as well. So I started working with a lot of people online in addition to working with clients in the gym. So I got really comfortable with, the software that I used, Trainerize. I'm really comfortable with Zoom because I was using Zoom all the time, like all of those different things. And so I was just like, I could totally do this like online thing, but I had the gym, like, and it was hard. I felt like I needed to, like, I don't know, I guess choose, and it was not an easy decision. And ultimately what made my decision was end of 2021, my husband and I decided to sell our house, and we really wanted to move out of the state. And we purchased land in another state, another neighboring state, like just north of us. And so we were planning on moving, building a house somewhere else, and basically just starting our life over somewhere different. And so the decision was, what do I do with the gym then? Do I sell it? Do I run it remotely from where we're gonna move because it's not that far? And now I had really taken more of a business owner role, so maybe it would be easy. Like, it was like 6 months of, what do I do with the gym? And so when I had the idea, I approached one of my longtime coaches, about being interested in selling the gym, and she was really interested in purchasing it. And that's just, it felt right, and that was the direction that I went. And then I found out I was pregnant, like literally at the same time. So it was just kind of like a whirlwind. And I knew that selling a gym meant, and then I got pregnant. So I knew selling the gym meant, okay, maybe now I can really hone in on working with this population, pregnant and postpartum. And I had just finished my second certification, the pregnant and postpartum athleticism certification with Brianna Battles, which by far was way better than the first certification that I got. Like everybody who works with this population, or if you own a gym, everybody needs this certification, because not only is the information just invaluable, but the community of coaches that you get access to is just amazing. And Brianna updates, she is always updating the course, and you get access to all the updates. So it's amazing. It was a great cert. So I finished that cert in like May of 2022. And so that summer, I was just really documenting my pregnancy and my journey, and I knew that I wanted to just start speaking to that population, that pregnancy, postpartum, and I was just documenting my journey, to be honest. Like I still didn't have the answers, and I know why. Like now I know why, because I was still experiencing it. So kind of feel like I kind of feel like my career was like on like a year and a half hiatus, like being pregnant and then postpartum, and now here we are. But I've realized that that's part of the journey. Like that's part of the process, is like not knowing and just moving forward in some capacity towards what you want to be doing. Like even if it doesn't look or feel like how you want it to, it's just showing up. And I just kept showing up. Like I just kept like talking about my journey in pregnancy, talking about working out, and then, talking about my birth story, and then talking about my postpartum experience. Meanwhile, like in my personal life, things with the house kind of fell through. We were supposed to start building in the fall of 2022, like before I was having the baby, and things just didn't pan out. And so it was like, well, when are we going to start the house? Maybe we'll start it in the spring. It was all like, what if, or like, what are we going to do? And, you never really, everybody can talk to you about how much having a baby is going to change your life. Like, if you're listening to this and you're pregnant, like I could tell you until I'm blue in the face, like how much your life is going to change once you have that baby. But until you actually experience it yourself, like you have no idea, honestly. And I thought so many things differently before I had Evelyn that I do now. Like I thought like, oh yeah, like we'll move to Wisconsin, like it'll be fine. Like I'll only be a couple hours from my parents. Like we'll still see them all the time, and we're a couple hours away from family, and it's not that big of a deal. Like we're close to some other family and this and that. But now, like after being with my parents that whole first year of her life, now into her second year, like both Matt and I, like our perspective has changed so much since we've had her. And just honestly, life has changed. Like Matt partnered with somebody doing his business. He does, construction and remodeling and carpentry work, and that's going really well. And he really loves it and like wants the opportunity to really grow it. And I want him to have that opportunity. Like I did my thing with the gym and for 6-7 years, and Matt was always like my right hand, like super supportive, always had ideas for me, always picked me up when I had like bad months or down months, or clients that I struggled with, and like so like this is my chance to like basically return the favor to him. But I know me, and even shortly after having Evelyn, like I knew I needed something for myself, but I didn't really know like what that was until honestly beginning of this year, 2024. So I feel like the whole year of 2023, I was really like just struggling with my postpartum journey, and just getting used to being a mom. Like, it's just different when you only have to take care of yourself for 30 years and then your whole life becomes about this new life. And it's a huge adjustment, especially for me, because I went from like being this like career driven, like so obsessed with my business and my gym and everything, to then like, oh my God, so obsessed with my baby. And how am I still gonna find time and space for all these things that I loved before her? Like fitness and triathlon and friends, and my husband and my career. Like I still want to do something for myself, but I want to be with her as much as possible. Like my perspective of that has changed too. Like I totally thought, oh, we'll just, we'll send her to daycare so that I could work and, train clients or teach classes or whatever. And now I'm like, no, I really want to raise her and be with her most of the time. That's not to knock parents who have to send their child to daycare, okay? Like I get it. If you work like a 9 to 5 and like that's your option, like that's your option, right? But for me, like I'm like, I don't really know what this next business is gonna be. I just know that I want to build it the way that I want my life, to look. Like I want to be with her and I want to have something for myself at the same time. So again, really spent that time just in it and recovering from birth and prolapse. And really, I just, again, shared my journey just to show other people like that it's just part of the process, like the journey. And it's like everybody sees a before and after picture, right? Everybody sees, a physical transformation, like before and after, right? But like seeing the whole process and like seeing the journey, and that's why I try to be so transparent about what I struggle with, like struggling with my body image. Like that's never been a thing for me before, Evelyn. But now, like I'm really digging deep and like being like, why am I struggling so bad? Like I've never struggled before with my body image. But when I really think about it deep down, I'm like, were you ever really happy? Like even, or you know what I'm saying? Like even at the leanest I was, which was probably when I got pregnant, to be honest, was that enough? And to be honest, I don't think it was. Even then, like now looking back at like pictures, and I remember, I no joke, you guys, I was on the phone with a coach. Like I was like, okay, like I don't know how to get any leaner than I am, so like I'm gonna hire a coach. And I was about ready to like drop a few $100 a month to work with a coach to get leaner because 22% body fat and 160 pounds wasn't good enough. Like, and now of course I look back because I'm 15, 20 pounds heavier now postpartum. And now I look back at, I'm just like, oh my God, like you were so lean. Like what the hell is wrong with you? And I think that of a lot of us, right? Like I know women who are probably like, oh my God, like I used to think I was fat in high school. And like now I look at pictures of me and I when I was in high school and I'm like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like you were so like beautiful and fit and skinny. Like I use that word skinny, but like I hate that word skinny. But yeah, right? Like if you're a woman listening to this, you're probably like, yeah, like I wish I was as fat as when I thought I was fat, like in high school or college or something like that. And it's so true. It's like we are our worst critics, and like why does our self-love or our confidence or just our body image have to be conditional? Like, oh, I'll love myself when I'm X body fat, or I'll feel confident when I'm X pounds on the scale, or like my body image will be positive when I fit into, my size 6 or 8 jeans again. And so I'm sharing all of this because I know that there's other women out there that struggle, and I feel like we just struggle in silence because a lot of what you see on social media is the women who like bounce back super easy. I hate that term, but you know what I mean. Like the women that bounce back super fast, and you're like, really? You just had a baby 3 months ago? Like, go to hell. And you know those women I'm talking about, okay? So don't even lie and say that you don't, because you do. We all know them in our lives. But then there's women like me, and I'm 16, almost 17 months postpartum, and I'm still struggling with these last like 15 pounds clinging on me like white on rice. And I'm still nursing, so I know that's probably playing a part in this whole thing because I'm like back to working out kind of normally. I say kind of normally because it's different, right? As a mom, like it's not the same. I can't work out twice a day every day like I used to. Or I'm just telling myself I can't because I'm freaking tired. It's just different, you know? And my diet is basically the same. And it's like, do I really want to like track every single calorie that like goes into my mouth? Then I'm like, my whole perception of tracking has changed too. It's just like, you know, things, I don't know, things are different. Things have changed, and like that's okay. And so, yeah, accepting like my body and where it's at in its current season is hard. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say, like, oh, I love my body every single day. Like, no, there's days that I really struggle. Like, yesterday, we had a family party and I changed my outfit like 3 or 4 times. And I like got a mirror to like look at myself in all angles because I was like, oh, how many do I have like back rolls in this angle? Or like, is my family gonna judge me that I'm 15 to 20 pounds heavier because like Christine's the fit one? Like Christine like let herself go. And like I hate that, but like I honestly, like I'm not gonna lie, I think that. And I shouldn't care. Like I shouldn't care what anybody says or thinks because the only opinion that matters is my own. And I want you to know that too, that the only opinion that matters is yours. And we are our worst critics. And I just want you to think like how you speak to yourself, what you say, and would you say to those things to your daughter or to your best friend or to your mom or to your grandma? Like then why do you say those things to yourself? And trust me, I'm talking to myself too, because these are the things that I struggle with as well. And so things are just hard right now. Things are kind of up in the air with us in terms of our house hunt. Like it's just, if you're listening to this, like you know, everything's so goddamn expensive right now. Everything is expensive. And we've basically gone to live on one income. And it seems to be hard even without a mortgage sometimes, some months when unexpected, you know, expenses come through. It's like shit, like we have to afford a mortgage, and like we have to afford a mortgage in this economic climate. So we don't really know what we're gonna do, but that's all part of the journey, and like it's all part of the process. And so this is just for you if you're going through a hard season or an uncertain season, I see you. And if you're asking a lot of questions like, why did this happen to me? How do I move past this? Like, when am I gonna feel okay again? All of those things, like, those are so valid. And I don't know if you're ever going to find the answers that you're looking for. Like I said, it may take months, years, decades to truly know why, but I really believe that like every hard season does have its purpose. And you may not see it for a long time, and that's okay, but I think prayer is a really big thing, and I think that if you're a person of faith, like really really honing in and really just giving it to God, whatever you are going through, whatever you're grieving, just trusting Him. And that's really, really hard to do, especially when you go through hardship or something very traumatic or something just so senseless, like a senseless loss or, just something like that. So, whatever you are going through, I see you. I'm here for you. My DMs are always a safe space if you just want to come vent or share, that you're a listener of the podcast. I really appreciate those random DMs from people. I really, really do. So just know that wherever you're at, you're not going to be there forever if you're struggling. It's just a chapter of your story. So I hope that this episode helped somebody today, and I hope to see you guys on the next episode. Please subscribe, please share with a friend that it might help. Thanks, guys. See you next time.